Here's another tiger that I'm going to do. This is a really simplified one, and what I'm going to do is wet the paper first, let the water soak into the paper, and then I'm going to paint this with black acrylic paint. Not anything that you've ever read is a good thing to do, but I like to play around. What would happen if? That's always something that intrigues me. And I will say I've studied enough formally that I usually don't have any result that I want to wad up and throw away. Now, one thing when doing this kind of work is that it is a good idea to have an even amount of water. Of course, if you're doing something bigger where you want variation, then forget about that. Just pile it on. Okay, that's going to soak in for just a few minutes. As the water soaks in, the appearance of the shine on the paper changes. Now, whether or not it's changed enough to be of interest, I have no idea. This is totally new. Yeah. See, like, that's it. There's a cat with its fur up. Now, that's that's not really doing what I thought it would. It's running over the lines in a much more dynamic fashion, making it very difficult to see my original drawing. But we're going to go with that anyway. And you may be able to see, and I may be able to see, some change as the as the paint soaks in a little more, as the water soaks in and the paint soaks in. Okay, now I like those little claws, and I'm going to wait to do them until the paper is a little more evenly soaked. You can see here going up the tail that where I have the pencil marks, the paint is not soaking in quite as much. That's because I used a new kind of graphite, or new to me, it's not new, kind of graphite paper to create the drawing for this creature. Now again, you can see where the water has not soaked in as much with this. Something about the surface of this graphite paper is, as it turns out at the moment, assisting me in seeing the original lines that I put in here, which have disappeared much more than I thought they would. Now see the way this foot is doing, the water is not as diffuse. For the effect I thought I was going to get, it would have been better to wait for a little while to start applying paint. But I didn't do that. Now I can go over this one a little more. And then I think I am going to take a break from painting this, come back in a moment with a brush that is smaller in diameter to do the face and the claws. So I'd like to stop for a moment. Here I am back with two brushes. I think I am actually going to use the smaller of the two because the paint won't fuzz out quite as much with that smaller diameter. And because the claws are going to be easier than the face, I'll do a claw first to test this out. Oh, it's working fine. Now, since cats are so popular, I'm sure there's going to be at least a couple of cat fans looking at this video. I hope you like the claws as much as I do. Sometimes I'm very bad at remembering what my source is for images that I use, and I would love to be able to tell you what the source for this is, and I've forgotten. I do adapt things sufficiently that I'm not, these are things in public domain that have been done long enough ago that there are not copyright issues. Also, they're not in collections that would be prohibited. When I was much younger, I was at the Metropolitan Museum in New York one day sketching, and I went into a Cézanne exhibit in a gallery which I hadn't visited before, and all of a sudden a guard came up to me and told me I couldn't sketch in there, and I said, well, how come? I've been sketching in the other galleries. And he pointed out to me that the exhibit of these particular Cézannes, which had a very special self-portrait, were from a private collection, so sketching wasn't allowed. And I thought it was really great. He just explained to me what was what, and I said thank you and felt informed. I also, for 10 years, was a technical writer and editor in the computer industry, and I was fortunate enough to take a copyright class from a judge who knew what he was talking about. Now I'm going to add something here that was not in the original drawing, but is a result of the paint running from the water. Just right here, I thought there's these little lines. How about some eyebrows for this tiger? And then I'm going to go over here where I applied the paint when it was very, very full of water, when the paper was very wet, and so it was much grayer, so I'm going to add a little bit more here. And even though there are 4 claws here, this leg looks like it needs another claw, so it's going to get one. Okay, for better or worse, let's see. No, not quite. I'm going to put some whiskers on him. Just a bit. Okay, that is that. Thank you. Here's another line I could add to. Bob Arnold, who is videoing this, recording this with video, reminded me to sign this piece. As some of you know, I'm absolutely terrible about signing things because when I was a little kid, we liked photos that went with advertising, and we didn't like those words going over the photos. So I'm going to sign this just with my initials because I don't have the space to do my whole name. I am, after some years of signing things this way, going back to writing my full name because somebody was able to find me. Their grandfather had bought one of my paintings, and he had passed, and they wanted to find out a little bit more about the painting, and were able to contact me because my name was on it. So in the main, I have returned to doing that, and I'm putting 2022 on this because of the being the year of the tiger. This year is the year of the rabbit, and who knows, maybe some rabbits will appear. And we'll let this guy dry. This is a reducing glass. It is a double concave lens, and normally it goes in a circle with a handle like a magnifying glass, but that all broke. Here's what a reducing glass does. It helps you to see your artwork from a distance. Reducing glasses were developed in the late Renaissance when painters in Europe were painting enormous murals to go in the town hall. You have to get back from that and see what it's going to look like. Landscape artists used it too. So I'm looking at this tiger that I've done to see if I think it needs anything. And I think some of the black lines in the tail could use a little highlighting. I think I'm going to restrict it to the tail. As you can see in these front legs, there is some area that is dark black here, but in the tail, except for the outline, there really isn't. So that's why I've made the decision to enhance, as they say, the tail somewhat. I'm standing up on a chair so that I can see get some distance, because if I stood on the floor and looked at this, now wait, we're trying to do, okay, you can see how what I'm seeing is that, and there's the actual figure. So it does give reducing glass does give you the sense that you're farther away from a piece. It's not often used these days, but art stores do carry them, and they're called reducing glasses. When I first learned about them, my main painting mentor used one, and I went into his studio and said, "May I borrow the little magnifying glass?" And he burst out laughing, but that's what I called it at that time. Okay, I am going to get down off the chair and then use the same small brush that I was using earlier to do this, and I want to make sure it doesn't have too much water in it, and get the jar of black there. Oops, I don't want that much on the brush. Well, okay. Don't like that.
Why not?
Oh, there, I don't want that much dry brush right there.
Mm.
And I'm going to look through the reducing glass again just to see what I've got, and I'm just going sort of one stroke at a time. I don't want to do too much. That's another thing you can get to. Probably some of you have had this experience of a piece needs just a little something and then you put too much. And that's harder to deal with than before. Okay, I think I am going to say fully that this piece is done. Thank you for watching.